Hello and welcome to Elevate Your Wealth. I'm your host, Casey Elkins, co-founder and managing partner at Elevated Financial Management. I'm joined as always by Mark Stimpson, my friend, father-in-law, and business partner. We've got a really exciting show for everybody at home today. We're talking about Social Security and how it affects your retirement. Is Social Security going to be there, Mark? I think that's really at the top of everybody's mind. But before we jump into it, it's been a little while since it's just been me and you in the studio. So it's nice to be back, just the two of us.
It is nice. We talked about that when we were coming down to record these episodes, and it's a pleasure to work with you, Casey. And I think it's a good time to be thanking our viewers as well. You are the reason that we do this. And education, we teach at the colleges. Many of the viewers already know that in our local area. And Social Security is such an interesting leg of a three-legged stool, you might say, right? Or a piece of our retirement planning income source, guaranteed income source. But a lot of people are getting this wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you get it wrong, it can cost you several $100,000. So we want to spend some time today talking about that and how to make decisions so that you don't end up with regrets and maybe making a bad decision because of all the noise that's going on out there in the world about Social Security and, you know, it running out of money and why I should take it now. And we're going to talk about that at length.
Yeah, you know what, let's jump right into that, right? Because I think that's really one of the biggest concerns that people have. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we see people making when we're putting plans together is people thinking they should start their Social Security as early as they can. Yeah. And in more recent years, that reasoning has been, well, they're worried that the trust fund is going to run out. Yeah. So there's the insolvency of Social Security. And so how do we address that in the office, Mark?
You know, one of the things, we always are looking for great articles, and we study this. I'm a nationally certified Social Security advisor, and in our office, it's the same way. We're also nationally certified when it comes to IRMA certification as well. And so getting this right matters to us in our office. And I love some recent information from the commissioner who ran the Social Security office during the Biden administration. And he went on to say, this trust fund, it's solvable, it's doable. And you know what his number one feeling was? We need to get rid of the income cap. Mm-hmm. I think it talked about in this year, it's $184,500. So if you make above 84.5, then you don't pay into Social Security anymore. And his point was, if we just get rid of that cap and everybody pays into Social Security based on what the income is, including those that make millions or billions every year, that is probably one of the main things that could really help the trust fund. But then putting that into action and getting that law passed is what's going to be the fun part, right? The talking heads just can't get this right. They keep kicking the can down the road. They've been trying to figure out what they were going to do with Social Security now for, well, at least 10, 15 years where it's been there, and they just don't want to deal with it because they know too big a change is going to be political suicide. So again, and we talk about this, but it's something has to change. Yeah. And do you have a plan if these changes occur, like what could actually happen? And that's the point.
Yeah, that really is the point, right? We can't control what's going to happen. We can't control what's coming down the pipeline. And the last time that they made big changes to Social Security like that was in the 80s, and that was done in the 11th hour, right? It was not something that was we were all well aware of before it happened. And so they changed the claiming age, right? And that really had an impact. And so, you know, this is something where when we're putting a plan together, we have to consider all the parts and pieces. And the truth of it really that we see each and every day while we're planning for clients is that we expect changes from Social Security. There is some level of uncertainty about what it looks like. You and I are on the same page. We don't think Social Security is going away,
no way.
But we absolutely think it will look differently in the future. Right. And realistically, it has to. But what that really does is it starts to put emphasis on the other parts of the plan, making sure that the investments that we have in our 401ks, our IRAs, that other money that we've saved, that it's positioned the right way so that it can all work together. Now, we have a tool that we want to share with the audience, and we're going to get right back into Social Security. We've got this tool, a website that you can visit. It's efmsstest.com. So if you'd like to go do a little testing with your Social Security, see how you might be able to optimize it and how that impacts your retirement, Please take advantage of it. It's efmsstest.com. You can see it there at the bottom of your screen, and there's a QR code you can scan if you don't feel like typing in those letters. But, I think something that we can continue to talk about with this, Mark, is, we have this debate a lot, or maybe not debate, but the conversation of Social Security going away. And you touched on this. That would really be political suicide for either party that was to try and get rid of Social Security overall. And I'm under the firm belief, and I think you are, there'd be riots in the streets, because the reality is that a lot of America relies very, very heavily on their Social Security. There's some folks that's their only source of income in retirement. That's 100% of the income that they have. And so even talking about reducing Social Security by 25% is potentially a big burden that folks have to deal with. And so how is it, for our listeners at home, how can that be accounted for in a retirement plan?
Yeah, and this is something Casey mentioned that you've got to do something. You just don't want to stick your head in the sand and let life and time pass you by and just want to ignore this. Because if you do, let's just assume that a reduction does come down the road. And let's say even 20%. Can you imagine 25%? If you're living on $2,000 a month and all of a sudden 8 years from now, all of a sudden now it's $1,500 a month. Well, look at what inflation is doing today, let alone what the total inflation cost will be in 8 or 9 years. And now your income is reduced. If you've got 100% of Social Security as your only source of income, that is going to be a really hard pill to swallow.
Devastating.
You're not going to probably be able to make ends meet. Family's really going to have to step in. How many of us want our children to have to begin to take care of us financially? Most of us don't want that at all. But again, that's why I believe coming in and talking with us and putting together a plan can make all the difference in the world. And I think that's what we're talking about. No action is taking action, isn't it? It's just you're not doing anything, right? But that could be disastrous. And there's some easy fixes to this. They're complicated, but we have to be able to make a plan whether Congress does something or they don't. I would consider if they make great changes for us, that's going to be gravy. But do we have a way to solve the income gap that's going to be created? And we can do that. And that's what we help our clients do, is create more income than they really need to give them a buffer in case something happens unexpectedly.
That's exactly it, right? And it does, the way that really it gets solved is it comes back to having a plan, but that plan has to allow for adjustability to pull different levers, right, at different times, so that when that does happen with Social Security, if there is a cut in the future, which right now we're on that path, but maybe they make changes, maybe there doesn't have to be a cut to Social Security. And so how does our plan adjust for those different variabilities in the future? And so this is for you folks at home. If you'd like to figure out what that plan looks like for you, you'd like to better understand how to take control of your retirement plan. Grab the bull by the horns and make sure that you know what Social Security not only could look like for you, but how to adjust when those other pieces of your retirement move on their own without your input through legislation changes and things like that. If you want to get a written financial plan put together by our team of planners, please take advantage of it. You see the number there on the screen, 844-342-7142. You can come in, sit down, have an easy conversation with myself, Mark, the rest of our team. We'll help optimize your Social Security. We'll look at the other investments that you have and the income that it's going to produce for you in your retirement. So don't hesitate, pick up the phone, give us a call now, 844-342-7142. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Social Security and specifically how it might affect your retirement. It's actually a pretty interesting story. My mom actually worked for a group of financial planners, and she'd worked for them since before I was born. Ultimately, I ended up working in industrial process control and instrumentation, which to most people means nothing and honestly sounds kind of boring, but it's pretty interesting. You get to see all the equipment that allows factories to make the things that they make. But as I was going through that, my wife got sick. And what I found was that nobody had answers about what the best route was medically to make sure that insurance was going to cover what we needed, that she could get the care that she needed. And so I realized that that industry really is broken, right? There really isn't the care, and there's not somebody that you can lean on to help you make the right decisions. And so as time went on, what I found too is I've got a natural aptitude for finances, and a lot of my coworkers would come to me and ask me questions about how they should invest and what to do with their 401k, because it was something that I kind of naturally was involved with in my own way. As time went on, I found a way to be able to do that. I saved, I went back to school, and ultimately Mark and I formed Elevated Financial Management, and here we are doing things, like I said, just a little bit different in Seattle. Welcome back to Elevate Your Wealth. Again, I'm your host, Casey Elkins. We're so excited to have you here with us today. We're talking about Social Security, which is everybody's favorite topic these days. And you know what? It's valid that people are concerned at this stage, because we do look at the trust fund and we recognize that it's declining. And now with Social Security potentially having a cut in the future, we're looking at a 22% drop off in what those future benefits. That's the current estimate. We've also seen that estimate up to 25%. And so what does that really do for somebody that's close to retirement like yourself, maybe 5 to 10 years into retirement, and what really can be done? So we're going to talk about 4 specific things that we can use to help address those concerns. Mark, I'll pitch it to you. What's number 1?
Yeah, so number 1, this was a great article, and we love researching to find material that we can share with our viewers. This is a great first point. Treat Social Security as just one income source, not the foundation of the whole plan. Yeah. I think that just speaks for itself. You don't want to just be counting on Social Security. Social Security was never meant to be 100% of someone's retirement income. Yet, as you and I know, we have clients that come in and it is 100%. And there isn't a lot of other planning that we can help them with because they're stuck, right? Why are there so many people working today, maybe in Walmart? I give Walmart a lot of credit. They will hire a senior, right? But why are so many seniors working at Walmart? Mostly, not all, but most of the reason is they don't have any other sources of income except Social Security. So they're being forced to fill that gap just to make ends meet. So that was number 1. Number 2 was get the claiming decision right. And this is something that a lot of people, because of all the noise out there, maybe it's family members, maybe it's what you're hearing on the internet or from other planning sources, especially Wall Street, go ahead and claim at 62 because that benefit's probably going to be going away and you're not going to get your money. But I just love what it says. It says, by going early, claiming early just to dodge a cut is usually a bad decision, right? It's going to backfire for most people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that there is a crossover point, usually about 12 years, but average life expectancy, you're going to live past that. And if you do, you're really going to be able to clean up. So that second one is a big one, but there's a lot of confusion. Now, in my household, my wife is going to be drawing a spousal benefit. And now I drew 2 years ago almost now, and I drew 2 years past full retirement age. So for me, my wife could draw, but I'm not letting her draw until she gets to 67, which is her full retirement age, because I don't want her to take a cut. Mm-hmm. You know, and the nice part for me, I was past full retirement age, so I didn't have to worry about the earned income test, right? That a lot of people
maybe let's zone in on that a little bit, Mark, for our audience, right? Because there's a lot of confusion about a spousal benefit, right? Yeah. So you mentioned, and let's use your example. So you mentioned that you waited until your full retirement age, right? Which was 66 and 6 months for you. So because you were born in 57. Yep. So those that are born in 57, their full retirement age is 66 and 6 months. Those that are born in 58 are 66 and 8 months, right? Yeah. And then 60 and later is 67 is their full retirement age. Now, what that means is that they qualify for 100% of their Social Security at age 67. For you, again, it was age 66 and 6 months. Right. Now, your wife, Lori, she's going to start her Social Security based on your work record, right? So she'll get 50% of the amount that you get, but that 50% is based on the amount you got at age 66 and 6
Right.
months, right?
Not 68 number.
Exactly, right? So maybe you could talk a little bit more about that, because there's a lot of confusion. A lot of folks think that if I wait until age 70, then my spouse is going to get a higher spousal benefit, but that really isn't the case. So maybe you can expand a little bit for our audience.
And this is something that does cause a lot of confusion, because there's a tremendous difference between the spousal benefit and a survivor benefit. My wife, as we've been talking about, or any other spouse out there, if you wait till full retirement age, the other key is that person has to be drawing. Like I would have to be drawing before Lori could draw. That's the first rule. The second rule is she's going to get half. Let's say I waited till 68, like we've been talking about. She gets half of my 66 and 6 month number, not my 68 number. Same way if I would have waited till 70. She doesn't get half of my 70 number. A lot of people believe that she would. That is absolutely not the case. And so, but that's totally different than the survivor benefit. That's where if I would have waited till 70, my wife would have got what we call a spousal boost. She would have got, she was receiving half of my 66 number, right? And at 70, she would have, if I would have waited, she would have got the full 70 amount that I was drawing once I pass away. But that's not the case. That you need to make sure. That's why waiting can be a tremendous benefit for the spouse or the survivor, let's put it that way. But a lot of people can't afford to wait. That's why you need to come in and have a conversation with us, right? And I think that's critical, because when you claim is going to have possibly decades of repercussions from an income standpoint, right? And so, and I just don't want our clients to be so worried and stressed out about thinking Social Security, I'm not going to get my money, I better go now. I really want to have a conversation with them of what's real, okay? We also know that information being given out by Social Security a lot of times is completely inaccurate, okay?
You mean there's no guarantee that it's 100% right?
This is something people, you know, you would think if you called Social Security that you could always be guaranteed to get the right information. We know that is 100% not accurate. I can't tell you how many times a client has come in and told us something that they were told, and it's cost some of our clients tens of thousands of dollars in benefit that they rightfully deserved. But because they were given bad information, they didn't, you know, take that benefit when they should have, right?
It wasn't optimized, right?
And it was a big mistake. So please, if you're watching this, work with someone who really knows about Social Security. They can make all the difference in your world and help you to optimize, like you said, or maximize that benefit and not make an emotional decision that could cost you for the rest of your retirement years.
Yeah. You know, this is a great time to share with our audience again. You know, we'd love to be able to help put a plan together for you, something that can give you the confidence as you move into retirement to not only know that you're making the right decision when it comes to Social Security claiming age, but also the strategy behind it. Is it the right decision for you and your spouse? And what are the lasting impacts? And so you see the number on the screen. Pick up the phone and give us a call, 844-342-7142. We'll put together a customized written financial plan that includes Social Security optimization for your specific situation, 844-342-7142. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have two more things that we need to do to make sure that we're maximizing our Social Security and doing all that we can to create the income that we need in retirement. Don't change the channel. Come right back to Elevate Your Wealth.
At first, I thought I was going to become an iron worker, and after I graduated from high school, I drove from Virginia out to Wyoming, where my dad was at. My parents had just got divorced, and I watched my grandfather on my dad's side. My grandfather got Alzheimer's and spent the last several years of his life in a nursing facility, and I watched them be devastated at the cost at the time, because they didn't have any insurance you know, and that created a real problem for them. They lost the bulk of their assets, liquid assets. They were able to retain the farm back in Iowa, but it taught me a lesson that I don't want to ever go through that. I don't want my children to have to go through this. And so I met an individual at an event that I was doing, a party basically at his house, and he invited me to come to his house the next day. And I decided to check it out. And he said, Mark, you would be very good at this. And it was basically in the long-term care business, Medicare and Medicaid planning to a certain degree. So I help people get Medicare figured out, but then it also spurred me into the long-term care field as well. So again, that's really how I got into this business to begin with.
Hello and welcome back to Elevate Your Wealth. Again, we're talking about Social Security. We see so many folks making mistakes, making an emotional decision when it comes to their Social Security, and not necessarily an educated or an informed one. And that's exactly what we don't want for you. We want you to make sure that you're making the right decision about when to claim and the strategy to use. Now, we're talking about 4 things that we need to do to make sure that we're on the right track with Social Security, and more specifically, creating income in our retirement. But before we get to numbers 3 and 4, Mark, you said something right before we went to break about what's called a survivor benefit for Social Security. Now, oftentimes that survivor benefit is misunderstood, and people believe that they're going to receive not only their Social Security through the rest of their retirement, but also their spouses, even if one of the spouses pass away. Yeah. Can you elaborate and expand a little bit more so that our audience knows what they can expect when that type of event comes up?
Yeah, this is something that, as you mentioned, it just causes confusion, right? And the survivor benefit is really, really a wonderful benefit, but you have to understand how it really is going to affect the whole plan for the couple, because now things have changed. That you've lost your loving spouse, and when you think about it, even like if it was me to pass away first, Lori would get bumped up to what would be, in my case, my 68 number, because I waited a couple years past full retirement age. But still, one of those Social Securities goes away. Right. And I think this is important to understand. It's going to create what we call a widow's penalty. Even though she gets a higher amount, the total income that was coming in from Social Security has been cut in half. And so that's something that needs to be planned for. The other thing that I want to mention too is most people think Social Security you can draw, the earliest you can draw is 62. Well, when it comes to survivor benefit, you can actually draw at age 60. So again, but then you have to plan that out because you're still drawing early. So there is a lot of complexity to Social Security planning, and that's why we talk about the need to be working with a firm that really knows what the heck they're talking about. Because if you don't, we've talked about, we had a client, I had a client come in, she was counting on information from the big box firm, and you know what ended up happening? She didn't claim until age 72.
Oh, man.
So 2 years of benefit that she didn't get. And by the time we found out what had happened, we could only go back and get 6 months worth of benefit. Yeah. So she lost a year and a half.
Because there's no benefit to waiting past 70,
Not
right?
at all.
That's
Not
the issue.
one dime.
Yeah, you don't get anything past age 70.
Exactly.
So she missed out on essentially 18 months worth of benefit because of that.
Right.
Yeah, that's crushing to a retirement plan, to a retiree, somebody who's worked their life, their whole life building that nest egg, building that guaranteed income that is Social Security. So there's a real quick tool that I want to share with our audience again. It's efmsstest.com. You can go there, put in some particulars. You see it on the screen. That'll help you better understand what that Social Security might look like for you in retirement and give you a basis of information for your specific situation. Please take advantage of it. We still have 2 more things that we want to talk about as far as income. This third one, I love this third one, Mark, and I think that this is so valuable. It's build an independent income floor for essentials. And you know what? I love the conversation of essential spending versus discretionary spending. We want to make sure that somebody's essential spending is locked in retirement, and that money is guaranteed income for them. And then the discretionary spending, all the fun money, as it were, that money can be more variable, but we want to make sure that we can pay our basic necessities. And I think that this is something that we do a really good job of in our office.
Yeah, in fact, I just want to maybe help the viewers understand essentials. Property taxes, your health care costs. What about food? We know food, utilities. What about our phones? You know, cable, insurance. See, we want that to be taken care of, whether there's a cut coming in Social Security or not. That's what's created such a hardship for so many couples today, is pensions have gone away, right? They don't have that second source of guaranteed income. And so we have to help them to create that. And I just think this fourth one is important too. We need to stress test, especially for higher earners, that there could be a 10 or a 15% reduction in expected benefits. But I love what the bottom line of this article says: plan for what you can control. Whatever Congress fixes, that's gravy or frosting, you might say, right? But again, you need to have a plan to be able to do that. If you don't, you're going to miss out on some very important things that could affect your income. We talked about this before. If you go at age 62 and you live to normal life expectancy or longer, you could easily lose close to $200,000.
That's a huge hit.
That's a huge chunk of money. Anybody out there would say, well, that doesn't really matter. I'd still rather grab it early. Well, look, that could be a big mistake, and you don't want to make that just on a whim.
Yeah, you know what? And that's exactly it, right? I think you just hit the nail on the head, Mark. Oftentimes that decision is made on a whim, right? It isn't founded in facts. It isn't founded in education or even having a custom retirement plan, right? It's kind of founded on what we see in the media, and it's this snap emotional decision. And, you know, I've said this before, and I think you would agree with me, that if you look back on the decisions in your life, the ones you probably regret the most are the ones you made emotionally, right? I know that that's the case for me, right? Very rarely do folks make their best decisions when they're emotional. And I think that's something that we really want our audience to be so careful of, and to make sure that they are putting together a true plan, looking at the options, the pieces, the different levers that can be pulled to make sure that it is the right decision. So, Mark, we have just a few seconds. Would you let our audience know what they can expect if they give us a call?
Yeah, please. If you're watching the show, pick up the phone. Let us help you have a conversation about taxes, about Social Security. What about Medicare? All of the things that you're thinking about when it comes to retirement planning, let our team help you. Because if you come in, you're going to keep your checkbook at home, and all we're going to do is have a conversation. So please, pick up the phone, call 844-342-7142. We look forward to seeing you soon. And again, thanks for watching Elevate Your Wealth.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been great to be here with everybody. We'll see you next week, again, on Elevate Your Wealth.